hello CQ. Radio Emma Talk.
This is the Radio Emma Talk World Service.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Radio Emma Talk.
नमस्ते, गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड आफ्टरनून और गुड इवनिंग। आप जहां कहीं भी सुन रहे हैं, आप सबका रेडियो एमा टॉक वर्ल्ड सर्विस पे
Welcome to Radio Emma Talk.
नमस्ते, गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड आफ्टरनून और गुड इवनिंग। आप जहां कहीं भी सुन रहे हैं, आप सबका रेडियो एमा टॉक वर्ल्ड सर्विस पे स्वागत है।
Wherever you are, you're with Radio Emma Talk.
There may be some atmospherics, there may be some jamming, there may be some oscillation. Woo! But hang on, CQ, we're just going to receive it now.
And now for the next 30 minutes, the Radio Emma Talk World Service presents the Alatra Report, Our Friends in Radio, Station Zong, and Contact.
This is Radio Emma Talk.
Hello, it's February 2021, so it's time for another of our programmes focusing on the world of radio. This is Jim Salmon speaking and inviting you to join me for the next 30 minutes when we look at radio related items past and present. Now, February is an interesting month for anniversaries. February the 13th is the UNESCO World Radio Day, an event that has been celebrated now for 10 years, so we'll have more information later about the ideas behind this yearly celebration. One day later, February the 14th, whilst known to most people as Valentine's Day, is also the birthday of a little pioneering station here in the UK called 2MT, a station dear to our hearts, based in the small village of Writtle on the outskirts of our hometown of Chelmsford. This year, 2MT would have been 99 years old, so we thought we'd take another look at this original and unique wireless station, which is considered to be the UK's first regular entertainment broadcast service. We'll also be sending birthday wishes to one of our relay partners, Channel 292, and, as always, we'll be sending greetings to listeners who have made contact over the last month. So, once again, we've got a lot to get through in the next half hour, so let's get this programme started.
Good morning,
good afternoon, or good evening.
Wherever you are listening, welcome to Radio Emma Talk.
We welcome your reception reports, your wireless memories and your comments. Send your emails to emmatalk1922@gmail.com. Wherever you are, you're with Radio Emma Talk.
This is Radio Emma Talk, calling the world, calling the world.
Hello CQ, hello CQ. This is Radio Emma Talk, Chelmsford calling.
Next on the Radio Emma Talk World Service, the Alatra Report.
This is Radio Emma Talk.
February the 14th, 1922 was an important day in the UK as far as the history of radio is concerned. On this day, a small group of young Marconi employees, working from an outpost of the Marconi Company in an ex-army wooden hut in a waterlogged field in Writtle, turned on their transmitter and, despite a low-key and somewhat inauspicious start, began a radio journey that was to evolve into the birth of light entertainment broadcasting and the formation of the British Broadcasting Company. Led by the gifted, irrepressible and irreverent Captain Peter Pendleton Eckersley, wireless station 2MT went on to set the foundations of much of what followed. With the benefit of hindsight, it is also clear that this was one of those moments in history when a unique and talented group of people were all found to be working together and in the right place at the right time. Let's take a listen now to some of the people involved, and from an excellent documentary by Dominic Sandbrook entitled Tuning In, looking at the pre-BBC history of radio in Britain, we can hear from BBC historian Jean Seaton, Peter Eckersley, Noel Ashbridge and Rolls Wynne.
I remember my brother Tom, he was winding very black tube with very green wire. And I looked at it and I said, what are you doing? Oh, he said, this is wireless. And the whole tactile feeling of that lovely thing so engrossed me that I said, well, I must be a wireless engineer. You made a wireless set, and then it suddenly became alive, chattered of everything that ever was, and people boasted. Actually, I got station Zonk in Czechoslovakia while I was upstairs changing my shirt with the phones on the kitchen table.
The voice of one of radio's great pioneers, Peter Eckersley. Today, he's far from a household name, but back in the days before the BBC had even been conceived, Eckersley was radio's first real star. When the BBC was born in November 1922, he was its first chief engineer. The official historian of the BBC, Jean Seaton.
Eckersley was immediately a hit because he'd got joie de vivre. He bubbles with cultured excitement. Eckersley wanted lots of people to listen. They kind of knew the power of this new medium to transform people's lives.
If you got a wireless set as an amateur which had never done more than go pa 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 pa, and then suddenly you heard a voice or even music, I mean, it was fascinating.
Noel Ashbridge was another young man closely involved with the Marconi experiments, who, like Eckersley, later rose to the top of the BBC's engineering department.
America had opened the world's first broadcasting station, KDKA, East Pittsburgh, in 1920. But of course nobody in Europe ever heard it. In fact, listeners heard little but Morse signals as they twiddled the knobs of their sets, with occasional telephony tests or a concert from the station at The Hague. At last, it was announced that a wireless telephony program would be permitted once a week for half an hour. The station chosen was Rittel, with a power of 0.5 kilowatt.
I happened to be in the Marconi company at the time, and we inhabited a place called Rittel, a hut, long, low hut full of long, low people, and we had a wireless transmitter, and we were eventually appointed by the Radio Society of Great Britain to do this thing called broadcasting.
We hurriedly hired a piano from the nearest shop, 3.5 miles away, and in due course we went on the air, quite casually and without any cheering, Britain's first regular broadcasting station.
At first of all, it was terribly formal. The man picked up the microphone and said, "Hello, CQ, this is 2 Emma Tock Rittel calling. And we will now play you a gramophone record entitled." The curious thing with a gramophone record is always entitled, they're not called anything. And we just put on the gramophone record, and then it was switched off. And then we had to wait 3 minutes to listen out to find if we were interfering with legitimate services. The programs later became a little more frivolous. There was a time when I used to go home and let the others do the transmissions, but one time I stayed and had some dinner at the local. And then I sort of suddenly felt that perhaps this formality was a little bit much, and picked up the microphone, jabbered, didn't shut down for any 3 minutes, and next morning when we came in and had a post-mortem, all the staff sat around and said this. I said, "Oh, did I say that? Oh my God."
The other thing that Eckersley does is understand that somehow broadcasting is not like a speech or a meeting. It's you to another person who's listening. And so he gets this conversational tone. He doesn't get all stiff. And he knows that although there's one of you and you're broadcasting to many, for each individual listener, you're talking to them with a certain authoritative intimacy. Eckersley absolutely instinctively found his way to a tone of address that was then used later in the BBC.
And we were indeed not only pioneers in transmission, we were pioneers in program. We in fact did the first radio play that I suppose was ever broadcast.
Cyrano de Bergerac, rehearsed, presented, performed, modulated, and I think almost knocked off the air due to overmodulation by one P.P. Eckersley.
Yeah.
Rolls Wynne was Peter Eckersley's partner in the more experimental Rittel offerings.
The cast consisted of course, P.P. Eckersley, Cyrano, Marion Travers, Aggie, Dennis Ross.
Yes.
I think was the rustling leaves. It's about as far as I was trusted. But what is most memorable about that, the way bearing in mind the way things are done now, was the rehearsal which took place about an hour before it went on the air, when we solemnly handed round a spoon representing a Peel Connor microphone.
While Eckersley and co were having great fun in an army hut in a field outside Chelmsford, in the heart of London, a more formal broadcasting structure was beginning to take shape.
And I think it cannot be more sufficiently emphasized that that pioneer adventure was born in laughter, was nurtured in laughter, and died in laughter.
Marvellous to hear the recollections there of the people actually involved in the creation of 2MT. And if you'd like to hear the full documentary, then head over to our website at ematalk.com and click on the World Service Programme 10 page. Those of you who've been following Radio Ematalk for a while will know that this little project was initially set up to celebrate 2MT, and 4 years ago in 2017, on the occasion of 2MT's 95th birthday, I had the pleasure of operating a 3-day internet station with broadcasts from the 2MT hut, now sited in Chelmsford's Sandford Mill Industrial Museum. As this 3-day broadcast also coincided with World Radio Day on the 13th, I registered our celebrations on the World Radio Day website, and this was picked up by a producer working on the BBC 5 Live programme. This led to a brief interview on the Sunday night 5 Live programme hosted by Jane Garvey and Peter Allen, where I was able to remind them of their own history and also end up being slightly told off by Jane Garvey. Here's what we discussed.
First for news and the best live sport. This is BBC 5 Live.
Good evening, this is Jane Garvey.
And this is Peter Allen.
And it's Sunday night again on 5 Live, would you credit it? This is the programme that attempts to pass judgment on the last 7 days. And this is getting very meta. We'll be celebrating radio itself, visiting the hut, where Britain's first regular radio programme was broadcast. And there's going to be broadcasting from that very hut again this week.
BBC 5 Live with Jane Garvey and Peter Allen.
Now, it is tomorrow, World Radio Day. It's a UNESCO initiative celebrating radio, why we love it and why we need it more than ever. One event is celebrating the 95th anniversary of the very first programme on the UK's first regular radio broadcasting service.
This is 2 Ematalk riddle testing. Tonight we have a most marvellous thing that's going to happen. We are going to receive Rome. That famous Italian tenor, Gridlico, is going to sing Non piuto perore pantissimo. Now we're going to receive it. There may be some atmospherics. There may be some jamming. There may be some oscillation. Whew! But hang on, CQ. We're just going to receive it now.
That was Tony Blackburn. And that was actually Radio 2MT broadcasting 95 years ago from a hut in Chelmsford. Thank you for laughing, Peter.
Well, it was good.
Slow, but...
I mean, I was thinking it was slightly bizarre as well, really, but...
We can go now live to that very hut and to radio enthusiast Jim Salmon. Hello, Jim.
Hello there, and that was not Tony Blackburn.
No, wasn't it?
Yeah. Dead ringer.
Who was it, Jim?
Who was it, Jim?
Yeah, it was Peter Eckersley, the madcap or the irreverent and exuberant and gifted person who effectively set up 2MT.
Right, OK. So 2MT, I don't know anything about it. Tell me more.
Well, Peter Eckersley was actually your very first chief engineer of the BBC in 1922. But before that, he was actually operating from this lovely hut that I'm standing in now, where we've had Peter's voice resounding through this hut all day today, because we're celebrating the 95th anniversary of 2MT, the first regular broadcast station, which was in this hut, which was at that time on the outskirts of Chelmsford, in a field in Writtle, on the outskirts of Chelmsford, and we just thought it would be nice to celebrate and relive those days.
It's a brilliant idea. So the hut is the real thing, but the location is different.
Yeah, the hut is now sited in our local industrial museum, still in Chelmsford. And of course, in Chelmsford, we've got a fantastic Marconi history. And the hut was originally owned by Marconi, and this is from where the original 2MT broadcast started. Only half an hour every Tuesday night for less than a year, but they created a massive influence on the broadcasting that followed and the BBC.
I love the item which says you played music on a 78. That's quite, and you held a microphone over the player and simply picked up the sound as it went out. Is that right?
We haven't done that, Peter, not yet, but we hope to do that on Tuesday evening. The actual 95th is exactly at 7 o'clock on this coming Tuesday. We have got an actual Cliftophone gramophone record player. In fact, I'm looking at it in front of me. We're just trying to find a few 78s. Wonder if you could help us.
How dare you? Thank you very much, Jim.
Yeah, lovely to talk to you, Jim.
And we should say, of course, that was Captain Peter Eckersley. I should give him his due place in radio history. And, of course, he did come on to work for the BBC as the chief engineer.
That's it from us for this evening. Join us again same time next week. It's Worthy Productions who are responsible for this programme, so blame them, not us.
First for news and the best live sport. This is BBC 5 Live.
BBC 5 Live on Sunday the 12th of February 2017. And there's more details about 2MT on our website, emmatoc.com, that's EMMATOC.com, and you're listening to Radio Emmatoc with our World Service programme. Hello to you, and thanks for joining me here today.
Wherever you are, you're with Radio Emmatoc.
Next on the Radio Emmatoc World Service, Our Friends in Radio.
This is Radio Emmatoc.
On Our Friends in Radio, we're taking a look at the UNESCO World Radio Day. Set up in 2011 by member states of UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organisation, World Radio Day was adopted by the United Nations as an international day to be celebrated on the 13th of February. From their website, UNESCO gives the following explanation. Radio is a powerful medium for celebrating humanity in all its diversity and constitutes a platform for democratic discussion. At a global level, radio remains the most widely consumed medium. Radio stations should serve diverse communities, offer a wide variety of programmes, viewpoints and content, and reflect the diversity of audiences in their organisations and operations. Different themes are promoted every year, and on the occasion of World Radio Day 2021, UNESCO calls on radio stations to celebrate the event's 10th anniversary and the more than 110 years of radio broadcasting. This year, World Radio Day, under the title New World, New Radio, is divided into three main sub-themes: evolution, innovation and connection. Evolution: the world changes, radio evolves, referring to the resilience of the radio and its sustainability. Innovation: the world changes, radio adapts and innovates, referring to radio adapting to new technologies to remain the go-to medium, accessible everywhere and to everyone. And connection: the world changes, radio connects, highlighting radio's services to our society, such as in natural disasters, socio-economic crises and epidemics. Each year, the World Radio Day organisation puts forward suggestions and further explanation as to the year's theme, and invites radio stations and associated organisations to participate and share ideas. It is also a good time to remind ourselves of the power of radio, and whilst we have new and competing technologies, radio remains probably the most powerful and effective medium for connecting and passing on information. Again, from the World Radio Day website, radio has indeed accompanied historical moments, and moments that are personal to us. Voices and music have accompanied our daily lives. Debates opened our minds. Radio has been following changes in our world for over a century, evolving with it, and remains the world's witness and relay. No matter what the event, radio connects us to forge and maintain links. So here at Radio Emmatoc, we're happy to promote the concept of World Radio Day, and we hope that somewhere on the dial you will hear others celebrating World Radio Day on the 13th of February. Here's a little example from 2020 when Farm Radio International asked their colleagues to finish this sentence. Radio is
live.
La radio pour moi c'est le meilleur outil d'information.
Radio is change.
La radio, c'est l'espoir.
Radio is peace. La radio est un outil de changement social.
La radio, ma voix, ma force. Un outil pour un changement d'impact dans ma communauté.
Radio is your only way of reaching the hard to reach.
Radio is my lifetime entertainer.
Pour moi, la radio, c'est
le meilleur moyen, le meilleur outil pour créer le développement.
La radio permet d'avoir un impact à l'échelle.
Radio is personal, intimate, and a lifeline.
La radio est un média puissant.
Radio is an amazing tool.
La radio est une voie importante de changement.
C'est une nouveauté, une innovation.
Radio is fantastic.
La radio, c'est comme le feu, c'est comme l'argent. Ça peut améliorer ta vie, ça peut tout brûler.
Radio is dynamic.
La radio permet de réfléchir ensemble, de prendre des décisions et de transformer le monde. Radio is you.
Some lovely answers there. Radio is life, is change, peace, is fantastic, is dynamic. Radio is your only way of reaching the hard to reach. Radio is personal, intimate and a lifeline. Radio is an amazing tool. Radio is you. Well, I have to say I agree with all those sentiments, and I'd like to thank the organisers of World Radio Day for reminding us of just how valuable our radio is, and hopefully we all share a similar pride, whether we be a programme maker, a transmission supplier or, above all, a listener.
Il 13 febbraio vivi con noi il World Radio Day, la giornata mondiale della radio istituita dall'UNESCO.
Radio nazionali, locali, web ed universitarie, unite per celebrare la radio e il modo in cui riesce a connettere le persone ogni giorno.
Sabato 13 febbraio dalle 10 alle 18 vai su worldradioday.it e segui l'evento online.
worldradioday.it
per chi ama la radio.
Next on the Radio Amma Talk World Service, Station Zone.
This is Radio Emma Talk.
A quick mention here for our friends at Channel 292 in Germany, who relay our programme every month across Europe and beyond. Well, on February the 1st, Channel 292 celebrated their 10th birthday and donated airtime to their regular programme makers, including us. So, first, thanks to all at Channel 292 and happy birthday. And second, if you missed our special programme transmitted on 6070 and 9670 kHz, then this is available to listen to on our website. Whilst we haven't reached the dizzy heights of 10 years old for our Radio Emma Talk project, we have been making our World Service show now for 10 months, and we prepared a 60-minute compilation programme featuring items included in our previous 10 months of broadcasting. To catch this online, just visit the World Service page on our website, emmatalk.com. And once again, happy 10th birthday to Channel 292.
Next on the Radio Amma Talk World Service, Contact.
This is Radio Emma Talk.
Nearing the end of the programme, so it's time to say a few hellos to listeners who've been in contact. First, hello to Christian Gibaldo, and thanks for your reception report for our programme in December on 6070 kHz via Channel 292, reaching you with a SINPO of 35242. Next, greetings to listeners in Canada, and especially Richard Lemke in Alberta, who tunes in regularly and keeps us up to date with reception conditions. Richard, I hope the temperature has risen above the minus 19 degrees from the end of January. Here in the UK, we struggle to cope when it's -1. Greetings to Alexander Kovalev in Belarus, tuned in on the 26th of December to 6070 kHz, and listening to our World Service programme and Sunny Jim's Trance Journey. Good to hear from you, Alex, and thanks for the report and the MP3 recordings. Also listening to and enjoying our music programme, but from a different transmitter, was Joel, F5NFB, in Paris, hearing us on 5950 kHz via WRMI on the 28th of December with a SINPO of 35443 on his RSPDX SDR receiver with an active MLA 30 plus loop antenna. Back to 6070 kHz, and listening on the 30th of December, we say hello to Torre Gunnarsson in Ryderbrook in Sweden, using a JRC NRD 535 with an 80 metre L antenna, and receiving us 45333. Good to hear from you, Torre, and pleased you enjoyed our normal World Service programme as well as our music show. Greetings now to Jawaha Almeida, master of the vessel Dole Atlantic, and a first for us, a reception report from on board ship in the Pacific Ocean, southbound on a voyage from San Diego, California to Ecuador. and Jawaha was using a Sony ICF shortwave 7600GR portable receiver fed by 5 metres of wire strung outdoors about 30 metres above sea level on one of the upper decks. Frequency was 9955 kHz via WRMI on the 24th of December and reception was good. Thanks very much for the report, Jawaha, and also the recording, and I hope you're able to tune in again from somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Also listening via WRMI on their frequency of 5950 kHz on the 4th of January, we say hello to Keith Doe in Virginia Beach, USA. Good reception at a SIMPO of 44444. Keith says, Radio Amatok has become my favourite station to listen to. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Keith, for your kind comments. Travelling to India now, and hello to Venkata Ratnam Yuluri in Hyderabad. Thanks for your email, Venkata, and for your interest in our station. Also hello to Rafan Ahmed in Tamil Nadu, and I hope you have been able to tune into us on the air or online. Hello also to Jürgen Wagner, who asked the question, why TOC in our name? Well, good question, Jürgen, and the answer is on the main homepage of the heritage section of our website, basically due to the use of an old phonetic alphabet from the 1920s when T was not Tango but TOC. Hopefully this is now more clear after listening to Peter Eckersley earlier in today's programme. We're off to Japan now, and hello again to Kunihiro Yamazaki, who tuned into our programme on the 30th of December via an online SDR in the Netherlands. Thanks for getting in contact, Kunihiro, and I'm glad that you enjoyed our broadcast. Hello also to Hiroshi Katayama from Hiroshima, listening via an SDR in Germany to our programme on the 8th of January on 6070 kHz and receiving us for the first time. Hope you're tuned in again today, Hiroshi, and it was good to hear from you. Greetings also to Harumasa Yokoi, who was able to identify our programme from the 9955 kHz transmission from WRMI on the 8th of December using a Perseus receiver. Thanks to all of you for getting in contact. OK, time for just a few more hellos to Stefan Drusk in Kerpen, Germany, listening on 6070 kHz on the 8th of January with a SIMPO of 35433 on a Sony ICF 2001D receiver. Thanks for the report, Stefan. And our final batch of hellos is for listeners to WRMI. Harold Waring from East Hampton, Massachusetts, sent us a nice email saying that he loves our programmes and used to be a listener to our previous Chelmsford Calling project in 2015. Good to hear from you again, Harold, and many thanks for your kind comments. Hope you're tuned in again today on your ICOM R71A to 9955 kHz. To Bogota in Colombia now, and hello to Daniel Rodrigo Murillo, enjoying our mention of the number 9 from the Beatles, one of his favourite groups. Good to hear from you, Daniel, and pleased that you are receiving a good signal on 9955 kHz, SIMPO 44444. Many thanks for the kind greetings. And listening in to the 5950 kHz transmission from WRMI, we say hello to Ray Carmen in Akron, Ohio, hearing us for the first time. Thanks for the emails, Ray, and I'm still enjoying your music. Mark Kaplan in Prescott, Arizona, heard us loud and clear using a Collins R390A receiver fed by a wire strung under the eaves of the house. Good to hear from you, Mark. And finally, hello to James Branch in DuPont, Washington, USA, enjoying our last broadcast with good reception, SIMPO 55434. James, I hope you are still able to receive us in your new location. Let us know. And we agree entirely with your comment, the internet is impressive, but radio is magical. And that is probably a good sentiment to finish this month's programme with. I hope you've enjoyed today's show and will tune in again next month for more of the same. Don't forget you can listen again to this and previous programmes via our website at www.ematalk.com, where you'll also find more information about Radio Emma Talk. So all that remains for me to say is have a good month. Enjoy your radio listening. And from our little studio here in Chelmsford, Essex in the UK, this is Jim Salmon wishing you well and saying goodbye.